Now, we are going to honor those who came before us, who laid the groundwork for the work that we are doing today. So I'm going to invite Anne Dinshah, the co-author of the book Powerful Vegan Messages, which advances the ethical perspective of veganism. Anne is the daughter of Jay Dinshah, the founder of American Vegan Society. And Anne brings the timeless wisdom of her late father, Jay Dinshah, to today's audience, so that we can see that this is just the continuation of the work that was started thousands of years ago, generation after generation after generation. And we have the opportunity today to bring it to fruition. We have to do it, so the planet is demanding it. So Jay was the father of the modern vegan movement in North America. Writing with him galvanized Anne to the vegan cause, and now she is CEO of the American Vegan Society. Anne? I'm going to share her presentation and then give her the podium. Can someone lower this so that it's at Anne's height?
Or should we just take the books out?
No, I think it's easier to do.
Better do that. You don't have to take that out, just hold this, so it doesn't bounce to you. Yeah. We'll bring the box to stand up. Oh, let's have. Hello? Much lower. That's
good.
probably good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
A little higher, please. Higher, yeah. Little higher. No, that's good.
She's
in her
no,
face.
no, she's this is good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Is that low enough? Do you want it a bit lower? That'll work.
Oh, no.
Are you sure?
I
So we can see.
Okay, hold on.
Because we can lower.
I'm gonna adjust silences there. So.
Yeah,
Well, now it might be too low.
that's too
Okay,
low.
let's switch. If you and I switch, then they can find what height I need.
Yeah, that's perfect, right?
Okay. Right there? Okay, so height.
Yeah. Okay.
That way they can see the hidden stuff that was backwards.
I can see it. It's perfect.
Thank you.
So,
Hello, happy World Vegan Month. You can now hear me and see me.
Yeah. I can at least see that.
Okay, I'll just speak through my eyes, that's all. What a perfect time to be here together at the Vegan Convergence of Peoples, sharing ideas about compassion, courage, and how we move this movement forward. Today is November 2nd, Dynamic Harmlessness Day, also known as my dad's birthday. I'm honored to be here to celebrate both the man and the message. And I wouldn't have done this if Sailesh didn't talk me into it. So thank you very much, because I hear I'll be doing a lot of speeches in the future. So on November 1st, you learn about what is vegan, or you continue your vegan, you celebrate World Vegan Day. And November 2nd, you learn how to amplify your compassion. So my dad lived from 1933 to 2000. So in 2000, I inherited millions. Like most people that are young, I didn't really know what to do with the millions. It was millions of reasons to do good in the world, and not a single penny. So forgive me if it's taken a little while to get used to this idea. Okay, I'm trying to switch the screen. How do you get the number? How do you get the?
Okay.
It's not working. So second is coming soon.
Yeah, I think it's on the wrong window.
Here we are. Okay. See, I have to have my dad join me. That's us together. Some of you may know or remember my father, Jay Dinshah, as the father of the modern vegan movement in America. But really, we can extend that to Canada too, because I guarantee he spent a lot of time in Canada talking in places like Toronto. Because I went with him on many of his lecture tours. I was the shill in the back selling his books for him. He was speaking, he was teaching people how to say the word vegan. But for me, most importantly, was I got to spend quality time with my father. And I didn't know this was going to check me up so much, but we would be driving to long off places like Toronto or New York City, and he'd give me index cards like these, and he'd give me a pen. And bumping along in our old car, I'd be writing his speeches for him, putting all his notes on index cards. So I didn't know how important that would be, because those index cards are his wisdom. And just like he would put those cards in his pocket and he'd give his speech without it, he had those cards just in case he ever knew them. So now today it's time to take those cards out and share them with all of you. My dad's guiding philosophy was dynamic harmlessness. Quite a mouthful, dynamic harmlessness. But it means to do the least harm and the most good every day. Pretty simple concept. Let's think about the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Extended to all living beings, human and non-human animals alike. And every religion has a version of the golden rule. It's universal. Switch it. I may need my assistant here to switch the slides every time. Oh, there it is. So it should just be the buttons.
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
It should be.
I'll be final. So Jay wasn't always vegan. I'm going to read to you from his book, Powerful Vegan Messages, the book we got to do together. Posthumously, though. It was 1957. Jay and his younger brother Noshirvan were 23 and 20 years old, respectively. See, back then things were a little different. You could just knock on the door and say, I'm here for a tour. Together, they went to Cross Brothers on Front Street in Philadelphia, where cows were slaughtered. The whole atmosphere caused them to shudder. They were assailed by a smell so terrible that Jay felt like vomiting and wanted to leave. Noshirvan insisted they see the whole process through to the end, by which time he too wanted to vomit. Jay said, upon emerging from that windowless house of horrors, I disposed of my blood-saturated shoes. I threw every stitch of clothing into the wash. I bathed profusely in an effort to remove the clinging fragrance of that charnel house. Even so, it seemed I could not rid my nostrils of the awful stench for weeks thereafter. Decades have passed since that melancholy day, but the repugnance of those sights and smells is still well etched in memory. While clothes and skin can be washed clean in time, what soaps can we use to cleanse the conscience? Which superfortified detergent shall we use to scrub the soul pure and clean? Jay made a vow that day. I will work every day until all the slaughterhouses are closed.
Yeah.
So he kept that vow through speaking, writing, organizing conferences, and founding American Vegan Society in 1960, which he ran for 40 years, welcoming people to veganism and building national vegan community, two of the programs we still do today. But growing up with Dad, he told me lots of stories. Hands up if you've ever heard of the Carpathia. Okay, good room here. Hands up if you've heard of the Titanic. Great. So the Carpathia was the ship that turned off all the hot water for everywhere else in the ship and put it all to the steam engines so it could go 4 hours full steam ahead in the cold North Atlantic to save 705 passengers from the Titanic. So Dad would say, our world is sinking. Are you saving the world? Or are you just rearranging the deck chairs? Be the Carpathia. Go full steam ahead toward compassion. Now, in 2000, I wasn't necessarily ready to fill his shoes. So for most of the last 25 years, I've been building a cabin, and some of it was showering in a cold shower because I don't have a mortgage, and it took me a while to get hot running water. But showering in a garden hose makes you realize what's really important. I have my freedom because I built my place myself. I can travel where I need to travel, and I don't have a mortgage. Did I say I don't have a mortgage? Yeah. So next time that you're somewhere that your shower might be just a little bit too cold, be the Carpathia. A little bit more about me before we launch back into my dad. I've been vegan for 55 years, which is great because I just keep celebrating my 29th birthday every year. Growing up with my dad, I was a rebel, absolute rebel. As a teenager, I did not want to be my parents. Didn't matter how many times you said, you're going to grow up to be the president of American Vegan Society. No way, no how. I wanted to get out of there. So as a rebel, I went to college. My parents didn't go to college. I had to go. And if I was going to go, I was going to be so far away that my dad couldn't drive there in a day. So I went to Notre Dame, had a great time, planned on studying civil engineering. I was fascinated by bridges. I was going to build bridges. Unfortunately, I don't have the math and science mind to go with that. So after failing out of multiple majors, I graduated on time in 4 years with a degree in American Studies. Who would know that that's actually a really useful degree for leading American Vegan Society today? I also got a degree in sports administration, which for many chunks of years, I worked that into being a career, learning teamwork and teaching it as a professional rowing coach. So my job was teaching others how to row better and faster than I am. So although I may have a bronze medal from the head of the elk regatta, which is a little tiny regatta you never heard of, I've coached people to win national championships. And so I know how to bring out the best in other people. And I see it in all of you. So we'll figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true to my word, I am not the president of American Vegan Society. We underwent a large restructuring last year, so I never have to be the president. We created a new position called CEO. It could mean Chief Executive Officer, but for me, it means coaching effective organization.
Wow.
And it's really because I have a great team around me. And so I've been standing up here talking for a bit, and some of you are just like, well, that's great, but all I really want to know is where'd you get those shoes? So for those of you online, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, you been there yet? Okay. I don't know where I have to put them. How about there? Now can you see them? Okay. So the red shoes are because I'm really a hermit who lives in a cabin and I'm an introvert, but I am capable of being an extrovert because you all need me to do that. And the animals need me to do that. And the shoes are a nod to my dad, his blood saturated shoes. But these are a style he would never, ever wear. So I can walk my own path and I can do what the world needs me to do today. I need my technical assistant. You might just have to come sit up here with me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't use Apple computers, sorry. I have the other kind at home, so I don't really know what to do with this. It must sense me. Okay, Ahimsa. So Ahimsa means, as we talked about yesterday, non-harming. That's how it gets translated. That means you can live in a cave and do absolutely nothing. Which for some of us, that's great. Let's do it. But Ahimsa was at the heart of my dad's message. He didn't stop at what not to do, non-harming. He's always asked, what can we do for good? Now, you can read many, many pages in his book about the 6 pillars of Ahimsa. But today, I'm giving you the simple version. You got 6 little words up there. And I'll tell you what each pillar means. So, animals is, of course, be vegan for the animals. They need us to make wise decisions and help others. Harmlessness, do it with reverence for life. Recognize that all life has value. Weigh our actions for the most good and the least harm. And occasionally we have to do some harm. Part of being human. Just take responsibility for it. Integrity in thought, word, and deed. Align these to live with what we believe. Mastery. It's an odd word to put in there, mastery, until you realize it's mastery over oneself. In materialism, envy, greed, selfishness, got to really identify which things do we want and which things do we need. Service is service to humanity. Find joy in doing something that helps people and planet. And advancement. Advancing understanding and truth. Create ways to share the lessons that you learned today. I'm just going to look at you when it's time to do it. Just doesn't touch for me. Okay. So we need to take steps to realize Jay's vision. Recognize that we have new tools and value them. So we're not living like this. This is me at my dad's old light table. Cut and paste. You see the size of those scissors and the can of paste? That's what cut and paste was. And Dad, when he went lecturing in India in 1967 for a 4-month lecture tour, he arrived ready to start speaking. They sat him down, handed him a big old phone book and said, here you go, and a landline. And he spent a month arranging his tour. Because they didn't have the internet, no emails. So, let me tell you what Tom Regan said. He wrote a chapter in this book. Tom Regan, for those of you who don't know, was a very famous animal rights activist. He said Jay was always ahead of his time. A big canvas was Jay's stage. He painted a picture of the vegan world for everyone to imagine. And that was 1975. And we're still trying to paint a picture today. Jay's creative answer was to show a solution for world hunger. Put hunger in a hearse. The funeral for famine was staged in a stadium at University of Maine, yes, in 1975. Thousands were invited to watch at the stadium in person, and they did. And millions saw it on national network television. It was really that simple. Veganism was good for the planet, good for the animals, and good for the people who are at daily risk of starvation, even starving to death. One of my favorite Jay quotes, I didn't put the whole quote up there for you because then you wouldn't need me to tell you it. So the slightly longer version is, to understand the feelings and thoughts of another, we need compassion. To adequately assess another's circumstances and be motivated to render meaningful assistance, we should attempt to walk in the shoes, hooves, paws, or fins of another, to see things from another angle and viewpoint. That's dynamic harmlessness, empathy, and action. The positive action side to Ahimsa. It's easy for people to understand and get on board. Let me show you how easy it is. Much easier than working this. Okay, so the cow is my son. When he was just slightly older than this, he was 3, and he said, animals don't want us to eat them. They want to do fun things. His wisdom continued with, if we eat them, they will be dead. And then they can't do fun things. So he's now 14, and he was right then, and he's still right now, just, he's 14, so he's right about everything, right? So my dad taught me that we awaken people gently, not by confrontation. Most people have not had the advantage that I've had, growing up knowing veganism from birth. So we have a room of people, and I'm going to guess most of you are vegan. I want you to think about how long you've been vegan. So just put your hand up. Have you been vegan for at least a year? Hand up if you've been vegan for at least a year. Okay, good. Keep it up. If you've been vegan for at least 3 years, keep it up. 5 years. So you guys know this number. How long have you been vegan? 10 years? 15? 20? 25? 30? Nice job, McQueen's back there. Okay, great. Okay, so that's always fun to do because you all know how long you've been vegan, but I want you to do a little math with me. Take that number of years that you've been vegan, take that number, and subtract 1 from it. And think about that number. Think about who you were that number of years ago. Were you worthy of being loved and treated with kindness? And so is everyone else. Dad's biggest gift to the movement wasn't just his speeches. It was his coaching of others. So, as I said, I'm a coach too. I had to switch from rowing to what I'm doing now. But there are hundreds of great rowing coaches out there. And there's only one person who's Jay Dinshah's daughter. I still row. I even rode a marathon recently. That's 26.2 miles in a very small boat. It was a fundraiser for American Vegan Society, And I took that picture from my boat that morning. So more importantly, I do build bridges, maybe not as a civil engineer, but I build bridges for people to come to veganism. Invitations with kindness. Because it takes courage to be that person you were a year before you went vegan. It takes courage to reject grandma's meatloaf and still show her love and respect. And maybe even cook it vegan with her. So Dad used to say, I can only do what I can do, but I can do it every day. And this is an actual painting that he did. He believed real change doesn't come from one grand act, but from steady daily compassion. Every meal, every choice, and every conversation, that's where the power lies. So what is your top talent? How are you going to use it to help the animals and the planet? Are you an artist, a teacher, a builder, a great listener, an amazing cook? The list goes on, but everyone has a talent and everyone can serve compassion. Do you donate your time? And some of you might just be sitting there going, nah, I'm just good at making money. That's fine. You can donate your money to those of us who have the time, and we'll work together. So this next slide shows you what problem we have. Everybody has different ways of explaining it, but when I saw a graph like this, it really broke my heart. This is what I wake up thinking about every day. You see how small that number was in 1960? 8 billion land animals. Now we're over 80 billion land animals killed worldwide each year for food. And that's not counting the fishes. See over in the little corner, someone in there. We killed too. So what are we going to do about it? My dad internalized the suffering of billions of animals, and he's not here to do the work. So we have to all do the work for him. We have to change. I don't care if you're in America or Canada, or some of you may be watching on the internet and from somewhere else. But whether we like it or not, countries look to America. They look to see what we're doing, and we have abundance. And we go to the supermarket and we make choices every day. And the world needs to see us changing. So you don't need permission to change. And I'm not necessarily talking you guys change, because most of you are already vegan that I'm speaking to today. But to help others. So always have your joyful actions. You don't need permission from someone. You don't need funding. You don't need perfection to live compassionately. You don't need to wait for the government to change anything.
Amen.
You already have everything you need.
Yes.
But this slide can be a little overwhelming. So let's simplify it. Next slide. Okay, thank you to Canva switching to PowerPoint, even though I fixed them all. It did this. So obviously the word examples belongs up there. And underneath it, it says to make a vegan meal and share it. So you could do that. You can walk, bike, instead of taking the car, make art or music, celebrating compassion. This is not all the ways that you could do dynamic harmlessness. It's just very few examples to get you thinking. See how easy these are? You can grow something green. You can watch something that expands empathy. You can volunteer to help wherever. You can speak kindly when arguing is easier. You could support a vegan business. Some of you already do all of these things. That's great, but do all your friends? Maybe you can find someone to do one of these with you. And if they say, oh, I can't be vegan, then just start with dynamic harmlessness. Just go pick up some trash along your road with your neighbor and then invite them to come have a vegan cookie with you afterwards. Start simple. So back in 1960, we did not know how good vegan is. We didn't know it was good for the planet. Most people thought it was actually really bad for your health. So I never told anyone I was vegan back then. Had to hide it. But we know that the animals' lives have always been taken unwillingly. And at each meal, what's on our plate matters. And more importantly, who is not on our plate. So veganism is not about perfection. We absolutely live in an imperfect world. There's no such thing as 100% vegan. But we can make the best decisions we can every day with all the information we have. So it is not by drifting downstream with the current of popular thought that we attain what is really worthwhile in life. It is by swimming upstream against the rush of current opinion when such current leads in the wrong direction, such as over the falls of selfishness, greed, or injustice. So I'm not the most intellectual person in the room. My gift is to make things easier, make this quest more attainable. You see the slope? You might recognize it of the billion animals, 8 to 80 billion animals. We want to come down the animal exploitation mountain and come down it as quickly as possible. One of the keys is to mobilize the apathetic, give them good food, make friends of them. So I brought you some tools today. I'd like you to take everything from my table back there, because they're not going to do any good sitting in our warehouse. And those of you that are online, just go to AmericanVegan.org. But those who came in person, these special gifts, we've got American Vegan Magazine, which for the first 40 years was called Ahimsa. But we switched the title because everyone knows what American is, and most of them know what vegan is. We've got my first cookbook back there, which my dad helped me with. He was my biggest fan of my cooking. Healthy, Hearty Helpings. Of course, I brought powerful vegan messages. So if you want to read more of my dad's message, it's in there. But don't just read it and sit it on your shelf. You've got to give it away. Give it to someone when you're done reading it. Those of you who need help getting along with others, take Dating Vegans. I gave it to my friend last week because she said she doesn't know how to cook. Next week, we're cooking 2 recipes together that she picked out. And lastly, we're going to switch the slide. I want to tell you one quick wrap-up story. I was eating dinner, sitting across from the man who is the father of my child. And he loved to tease me about what I was eating. So he would have a hamburger, and I was eating my veggie burger. And he was teasing me mercilessly that night. And some days I can take it, and some days I just can't. So I said, give me that hamburger. I'm going to prove to you I love you more than a cow. And he said, don't you ever do that Your values are what I admire in you most. So thanks for celebrating. Happy birthday, Dad.
We gather now with plans in mind to spark the shift, to move aligned. With hearts on fire and visions free, we're building now our planet B. Let's get behind this dream unfurled, a vegan vibe, a kinder world. With compassion strong, we'll help her recover our beautiful earth, our one true mother. 3 words we give our strategy: redirect, relinquish, a new way to be. Restore our humanity, and all will live in harmony. When kindness leads, vegan love breeds. The change we want, the world we need. Together we rise, together we see a thriving life on planet B. Collaborating hearts in action, creating waves of chain reaction. Big change growing from every hand, as we give back to heal the land. 3 words we give our strategy: redirect, relinquish, a new way to be. Restore our humanity, and all will live in harmony. When kindness leads, vegan love breeds. The change we want, the world we need. Together we rise, together we see a thriving life on planet B.